Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. We're going to be bringing you guys a game between Alliance, who look like they've actually tagged up for their actual new team name there, along with Team Liquid. They're going into this best of three into Game 2, as Team Liquid was able to just kind of trounce them in Game 1. Honestly, the team fights were just impeccable, and Liquid takes it away 1-0, but we'll see if they can answer back right now. But once again, I am Blaze, joined by Purge. How's it going, man?
It is going great. That game one was amazing, really fun to watch. Awesome little plays from Team Liquid. And to start things off, Alliance is going to ban a Caudal. They went pushing last game, and the Caudal was enough to slow down their push on the long lane of Liquid. So they don't want to deal with that anymore. And they're also going to ban a Lifestealer.
Yeah, those Illuminates so darn frustrating. I mean, there were a couple major Illuminates, especially on the supportive heroes. Ake, yeah, his creeps were able to dodge it occasionally, but he took the full brunt force of multiple, and it made it so that he couldn't really be a major factor in the team fights, and especially since Korok with that blink was gunning for him every single engagement. Like you said, he really was forced to use his heals in a subpar situation. You're popping off a 200 HP heal, a 250 HP heal with your mech and Hand of God, and you're only hitting it on yourself. It cancels out that major ×5 aspect of the team fight presence, and it was very, very weak in that sense. And that was because TC had so much control. Korok was able to jump on in, that kind of stuff. So now we see a new draft, a new day. Because of the fact that Keeper Light is not on the board, we won't really be looking at as likely of a Phantom Lancer selection. There's probably going to be more opportunities to push. As we see here, Team Liquid, this time around drafting up Chen and Nyx Assassin. Presumably Fluff's going to be running the Chen, then Ix Mike will be up on that Nyx.
Yeah, Nyx Assassin is one of the best support heroes in the game right now. He's very, very heavily tier 1 banned, and that's just because when he hits level 7, if he has boots, he is one of the best ganking heroes in the game. And it doesn't matter how much farm you have. You should have enough mana at that point to be able to cast Mana Drain and the Impale and the ulti, and maybe have enough for Spiked Carapace to reflect some damage after that fact. Just very, very frustrating to play against, and the mana burn counters so many heroes in the long lane as well. A typical hero like Darkseer is going to get countered by that. Wow, TA and Enchantress, two heroes that don't see that much play. Batrider most likely would be a long lane, and TA mid, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that would probably, I mean, I don't see TA really working too well in most other laning situations, so yeah, it should be a TA mid to go up against a Nyx Assassin rather than the Bat. Generally, Nyx is going to have a better time up against that Bat, but I already mentioned that Ix Mike is probably going to be running that as support rather than having that in the mid setup. Korok has run Nyx before, but it doesn't seem that would work very well, especially not against a TA, so they'll have to change how they draft against that, maybe even running the Darkseer mid, or running it as Bulba would pick it up on the offlane. Either way, what I find going to be the most interesting here is this Chen versus Enchantress matchup. It's something that we actually used to see a lot about 3 or 4 months ago, but now haven't seen it in a long, long time. So pretty much it's the matchup Enchant versus Holy Persuasion, bouncing back and forth, tug of war between these neutral creeps, and it's actually a pretty fun thing to see.
Yeah, it really is. Darkseer ends up drafting through on Team Liquid. That's going to be a great hero to counter TA if they decide to put him mid. It might happen, might still be their long lane, we'll see. TL could go aggressive tri-lane if they want to with the Chen, but I don't think that's a very good idea against Enchantress, because Enchantress can counter Chen quite easily well, it's not an easy counter, but then they have to dance their creeps back and forth, and it's not a good time. It really changes the game up. They might both just want to go push their safe lanes.
Precisely. So, yeah, we'll have to see about that there, but Batrider has a lot of presence in of his own right. It's going to be more difficult against a Nyx Assassin who can always carapace the Firefly, but it's definitely something that provides some range of presence. If Blink comes out on both Bat and Templar Assassin, heroes like Chen are going to be completely screwed over really, really early on. It's how it was played against them last time around. Ake's like, hey, screw it, let's go for bursting down the Chen this time around, and we'll have the backup of Nature's Attendance, Impetus, and our creeps to really, really make things happen. So it'll be interesting, but right now, Alliance banning out some very powerful heroes. The Shadow Demon, I guess if they were worried about a mid Nyx, the Shadow Demon would be a very appropriate ban as far as synergizing well with Chen and possibly counteracting a pick that they might be looking into. And along with that, taking out the Brewmaster that Korok picked up last time, and the Lone Druid just for good measure.
Yeah, Shadow Demon is mostly really annoying if Batrider ends up initiating on somebody, and then the support hero will just disrupt them, because it just completely counteracts what Batrider is looking to do. And if they were actually planning to pick up a Bane, the same thing goes. Whoever gets disabled can be saved, and it really does swing things quite a bit. Ix Mike plays fantastic Shadow Demon, one of the best in the game, so it would have been fun to see him play it. But it's banned out this game, and we'll see where Liquid goes with. They are still missing a carry. They could put Darkseer mid to counter the TA. They'll most likely play Nyx Assassin as support. They're not absolutely forced into this, but they still need a hard carry, and PL's in the game. Could be him again.
Yeah, definitely has its potential there. I mean, it's a little bit more mana reliant. Might have to opt for a Soul Ring or something like that, but it still will be functional. But either way, Nyx Assassin, as you mentioned, is really, really strong to support. A lot of disables to set somebody up, so really what they're looking for is just a damage follow-up. Technically could be, like we saw the Dragon Knight ban, that's something that does come to mind, but more likely we're probably going to see something a little more orthodox come on out, and they have to pick it up now because Alliance is also looking at picking up their #1 in their next draft, and if they want to have their choice in this matter, they're going to have to make the selection here and now.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what they're going to go for. They could do something like a Dragon Knight if they really want to continue the pushing lineup here. Some hard disables would be useful against Batrider or TA. I think Alliance at the moment is going to have maybe some hard carry potential late game because TA doesn't provide that much, though Enchantress can do some semi-carrying, but they definitely have some interesting heroes. Bane interaction with Batrider isn't going to be very good if there's Firefly over the battlefield because it's going to be very hard to Nightmare somebody because he will break out of the sleep, but I don't see a whole lot of synergy with Alliance's draft right now, so I'm a little unsure about it, but I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing all the fancy stuff that I should be.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, kind of hard to put out here. I'm curious to see if they want to pick up a Midas carry. A lot of people in that Chen Enchantress matchup would just be like, okay, well, if they get a creep away from me and I don't have a Holy Persuasion or Enchant available, then suddenly I'll just they'll have the carry use the Midas and burn it down immediately, one-shot it. But they pick up the Anti-Mage here, which I think is kind of interesting. There's a lot of hard lockdown, to be honest, to pick up an Anti-Mage here. The Lasso, the Fiend's Grip, those things can be devastating for him if presumably TC is not careful with how he plays it. But, of course, he still has a lot of mobility, the blink, and the potential to just burn things down quickly. I mean, they're up against 3 intellect heroes here.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird pick, like you said. Fiend's Grip. They also have the Lasso. Enchantress does pure damage, which goes through Anti-Mage. If Anti-Mage uses his Manta, Enchant can steal one of them using the Enchant ability. There's a lot of moderate counters to the hero, and TA does a lot of physical. So Anti-Mage is going to have to be really careful. I mean, if TA blinks in and he gets Fiend Script, he's going to die in the early game. So it might be weird. And they pick an Alchemist for their hard carries. So Alliance is going for the Alchemist. That's a hard stun. That is a lot of HP and physical survivability. Even if his mana gets drained, it's not the end of the world because he still does really good damage. And I'm kind of liking Alliance's draft right here. I think the Anti-Mage looks a little scary to me, but I mean, if Team Liquid does have a better early game, they should be able to push this late and most likely outcarry the Alchemist. I don't think he can necessarily beat an Anti-Mage solo. Anti-Mage is more survivable by far, so much more likely that Alchemist will die more times along the road than Anti-Mage will, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to say. When the Basher or Abyssal comes out for Alchemist, I think he might have a little bit more potential there in the lockdown, but it really will come down to a lot more than just the carry versus carry. I think it's really going to, like we saw last game, a lot of it will break down before that comes to be a factor, and with the fact that Bulba just was able to pick up his Clockwork here, I think they're going to have a huge amount of potential. So I'm thinking Korok on the mid with the Darkseer, as soon as he hits level 5, he's going to handle that TA very, very nicely, and from there, of course, Fluff jungling up with Nyx Assassin, picked up by Ix Mike on the top lane, and then from there, Anti-Mage, like I said, picked up by TC. So carry potential back and forth. Both heroes have a lot of potential in the mid game, especially around 35 minutes. That's where they start getting insanely powerful. You see like a Shadow Blade and one other big item for Alchemist. You see that possibly Battle Fury and Manta Style for the Anti-Mage, and they're ready to go, either for split push or for team fight. That's pretty much where they hit their stride. But it'll be interesting how the supports come into play. I think Dark Troll Summoners are something not to be underrated here. We already talked about how great they are as a creep, but on top of that, being able to disable Anti-Mage's Blink is another great piece of lockdown that Enchantress provides here, and we'll see if Fluff has anything to say about that. But either way, it's going to be interesting here, and again, going on into game 2.
Yeah, one thing that is cool to point out is that Alliance really doesn't have that many disables outside of their ultimates. If we're not talking about Alchemist Stun, they pretty much just have Lasso as well as Fiend's Grip, and that might really be a lot of problem for them in the early game, so we'll see if that affects them.
Yep. So right now, S4 going in for his standard 3-branch 1-tango build, going up on the mid lane there. It looks like he's going to be going up against Korok, who's opting for that Stout Shield for a little bit of durability. Now, can Stout Shield, I don't think it can block the Psyblade strikes.
If the Psyblade splashes through a creep, it should not. I know it's slightly different than how Cleave works, but I don't believe that will block it, no. Okay. I think that is pure damage, basically.
Sure enough.
I guess I can go over Liquid quick. We've got IX Mike 88 is going to be playing Nyx Assassin. Fluff is on the Chen. We've got TC playing Anti-Mage. Mid lane, like we said, is Korok. And the long lane is going to be Bulba playing Clockwork.
That'd be interesting there. And we actually see Ixu once again taking up the offlane role. So IKZU, whatever he wants to be called, and not really getting the pronunciation on that. I guess it doesn't matter since he's probably only going to be here for this match here. But picking up the offlane, going for that Batrider. Going up against a Chen and a Nyx Assassin. Do you think a Batrider is going to get much experience here?
Probably not. I think it's going to be a little rough. We might see Ix might just pick up mana burn at level 1. If Batrider shows himself in lane, he's going to get hit with that once or twice. Then he's going to be completely out of mana, and really not going to be that useful in his lane. Wow, we actually have Ix Mike offensive warding. I think S4 is going to notice that that one got placed, so
Probably.
If they have any sentries, that will be counter warded pretty rapidly. I don't know if Ake has
Already
any.
in the courier.
Oh yeah, so that's pretty cool. It's saving some of his money in case he needed sentries. If he does, they buy the sentries, and Captain Bamboo, still alive, gets to run back to base.
Yep. Helping out every little bit that he can. But another very aggressive build by Loda. I think he's honestly going to go for the Midas on the Alchemist. Grievel's Greed combined together with Midas. If he's not getting contested by Bulbul directly, he's going to have the time of his life finding early farm the first 10 minutes. If he's not disturbed, he will be able to come out with so much gold. It's actually pretty ridiculous how much he can rack up with that Grievel's Greed max first, along with the Midas if he's free farming away. But still, there's going to be some pressure out from Bulbul. We'll see how big of an impact this cog blocking will be to start, because he is pulling back these creeps so that the creep equilibrium does balance itself out at about this position here, which is good enough for Clockwork to find some easy experience. Nightmare plus Concoction, really, really strong, but until we see Ake kind of transitioning on in, it's not going to be as much of a factor.
Oh, Loda's actually already going for a stun.
Wow. That's really, really interesting aggression. I mean, he's already dropping it down pretty quickly, but Bulba does have 2 sets of tangos and a full salve. Loda already committing half of his mana pool, half his HP pool. It seems like he's working a little bit too hard to push Clockwork off the lane.
Yeah, EGM will get some solo experience as well. He did stack up, so in a second here, Bulba's going to have a tough time getting experience, and it does really help to block the cogs like that. Is this a gank already? Wow, fast gank from Fluff. He's got a Hellbear Smasher coming in. They are both smoked up, and they're against the TA. Now, do they have detection is the real question, or does he even have Meld yet? He does not have Meld yet, so Korok's going for the dive. Fluff's about to start. Oh, there's a courier coming. Bamboo might get killed. They might see it. Does Fluff see it? Does he see it? The creep's running past and he's not doing anything. Oh man, I'm really surprised they didn't go for it. They might get it on the way back though.
I mean, he's not flying it. If they don't upgrade it right here, it's dead.
Oh no, Captain Bamboo. 2 times they kill it.
So sad, so sad. Captain Bamboo out of commission for 3 full minutes, and we do see S4 taking a lot of hits on the mid lane there. Korok will not be able to pierce through the refraction with the Iron Shell, but still dishing out a lot of damage, and even go for some pseudo creep skipping here with just going past the tower here and forcing S4 to take some big hits.
Man, some slight mistakes from Fluff to not get the courier before the bottle was delivered. That may have been what he was concerned with doing. He's actually being chased by Ake. Oh man, he gets a haste now, and this is pretty much a dead Chen. I don't think there's a whole lot he can do about this.
Nope, not at all. There is going to be a flame break, pushing him right back on into the fire, and Ake is going to be able to bring it down with a couple of right clicks, jumping up and getting that first blood, which is of course great for her. Comparatively speaking, I would say that Enchantress is much more item reliant than the Chen, and if she can get some good right click potential with just maybe an early Scythe or Orchid, she actually can contribute a lot in the team fights.
Well, on the bright side with the courier dying, there's no possible way that S4 can bottle Crow. So that means if there's a good rune control coming out of Liquid at this point, it is going to help them a whole lot, because S4 will run out of mana since Refraction now costs 100. And look at this, Ake even stealing creeps in the jungle. It's going to cause even more trouble for Fluff. He isn't even hit level 2 yet. Enchantress is at level 3, and we'll see Ix Mike actually shift over.
Yeah, trying to put some pressure out on him. He will get a mana burn off, but really nothing more beyond that. They know that they can't really seal the deal in any way, shape, or form, but at least Fluff was able to steal his creep back and take what was rightfully his to farm up the jungle a little bit more extensively.
And he definitely needs it. On the mid lane, how's Korok doing? 12 last hits versus TA's 15. TA's actually doing great. S4, despite losing his courier, is having a great time. Seeing some more creeps get stolen as well. Ake, Liquid's gonna, or TC, sorry, is doing some right clicks on Ake. Doesn't have a whole lot of mana left up here. And Ixu getting some much desired EXP.
Now, with Korok picking up that easy camp, that was actually the Radiance, he's actually going to be able to dish out not only some damage on S4, but with this next creep wave, pick up rank 3 Iron Shell. That's extremely big in this matchup here, because now Darkseer's Iron Shell will be able to destroy Refraction. It's already gone because of how rapid it ticks. And I think actually Korok probably could have gone for a first blood there. Was a little bit maybe worried about a Meld Strike or something, but honestly, he was in a position to bring her down.
Yeah, he's playing really safe this game. Maybe it's because of his mistakes in the previous one. He's a little worried about that. I mean, he honestly could die for this. There's the Iron Shell. Will he surge it? He just doesn't want to do it. I think he's really worried about a meld or something. I really don't know. I think he could maybe go for it.
Right now,
there it is. And he's got no creeps on him. S4 making a mistake here, and that's going to be an easy kill. He buys his items before he does die, though, so good for him.
Nevertheless, about his respawn time, the core is going to be respawning, but he has his bottle, he has his boots, and he'll make his way back to lane, but it's going to get harder and harder. Like I said, Korok's Ion Shell is pretty much just the hardest counter to the defensive component of the refraction. We do see Fluff stalking on up, looking for some damage on Ake. He has his Holy Persuasion, so he could steal one of these 2 creeps. Will be timed duration, but here's the ensnare, here's the Ion Shell. They steal the Centaur, they clap immediately, and they're going to be able to bring down Ake as well. Really, really good usage of these creeps here, taking the disable, and in a short lifespan was able to finish it off. Now actually picking up a Satyr as well. They really, really screw over the Enchantress here, despite her early first blood.
Yeah, that was really, really nice play there. Oh, we're going to see Bulba maybe going down here. Cog is being used. Actually, EGM might be in trouble now. He does get the Brain Sap off, and it's going to be close. He's bottling up between hits. Not going to be able to get the kill. And Loda actually, is he going to die from this?
Magic Stick, please.
He gets a
Magic Stick, he's still denied.
Wow.
He still committed suicide.
That was 9 HP worth of death. He literally had 244 after he used it. Bulba was like, well.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Take what you can. So,
He hasn't gone for Midas, by the way. He has a lot of money in the bank, though.
Sure. Do you think a Shadowblade Rush or something along those lines, then?
I think it might still be a Midas. He's got 1,200. No, he buys Boots of Treads, or Treads, that is, so no Midas this game. I don't think it's really needed. Greevil's Greed is already fantastic. It's not really... I think it's a little greedy to go for Midas on top of that.
Yeah, if he was up against an offlaner that had to opt to the jungle and didn't contest a lane whatsoever, you could definitely see the Midas, like last game. But in this situation here, he is contested directly by Bulba, so he opts for the concoction. He plays a little bit safer with the treads, and that's going to make it more and more effective for him to zone him out and to try to actually go in for kind of a 1v1 matchup. Right now, Bane has been hanging out a couple of times, but the only times I've seen him come in, he hasn't really made that big of an impact. Was able to net the kill there, and that was great for them, but it's still, the Bane is going to have to keep on pulling and being active in that regard if he wants to get the Fiend's Grip out.
Yeah, top tower is being pushed a bit. Fluff is at level 4, so only has 1 creep, and that's going to start tanking right off the bat. Might be looking for a dive past Bat, but IX Mike is not able to get within range. There's the mana drain, and yeah, Bat Rider can't do a whole lot of anything. We're seeing a TA trap. S4, is he going to be able to get a kill on Fluff? He's looking for the Meld Strike. Doesn't even have Meld, surprisingly. Pops the Invis and gets out of there. Will he go for it? He will. Refraction again. Fluff goes down, but might be in some trouble. Maybe an ulti from TC, but he figures Refraction's back on. Great reflection there, but IX Mike still will go down. And a Nightmare as well, which might keep him alive. He's going to bottle up a bit. There's a Nightmare being used by Fluff a little bit late, and the TP out from S4. Great little gank there. From S4.
Yeah, really, really good pick on those 2 supports. Not only defending the tower, but actually picking up a little bit of extra pocket change there. I mean, TA is a gank-oriented hero. She does have some semi-carry components, but all in all, she really just wants to go for early burst. But surprisingly, didn't pick up that meld, and so the damage was a little bit delayed. But nevertheless, finding the right runes, using the refraction at the right time, and picked up a couple of much-needed kills.
So Barrett back on the top lane has finally picked up Firefly. He's been mostly just focusing on Napalm at this point. 700 gold in the bank for him, and Anti-Mage also with a Magic Stick. Anti-Mage is on his way towards Battlefield. He is drastically out-farming Alchemist. Bulba's level 6, so I think he's trying to get a solo kill here. Ooh, the pause happening as well. Yeah,
Chen did unfortunately disconnect, so Fluff had a quick reconnect, a little bit of lag or something probably, but either way, yeah, Bulba's in a great position here. There's no comeback for, I mean, Bane has to TP immediately, essentially is what it is. EGM can TP to his tier 1 tower, can go for either Nightmare or Fiend's Grip, but otherwise Loda is going to be locked in, and he still might die. I mean, they do have the backup of the Nyx, they're going to get the hookshot and the cogs right here, and this can be extremely good for them. So closing on in, they miss it though. Bulba whiffing a nearly point blank hookshot, very unfortunate, and there was no TP, so that would have been a kill, I believe.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to land those when they know that you're about to hook. It is pretty instant, better than Pudge hooks, but nice dodge by Loda, and that's going to keep him alive. I think he might have had Chemical Rage up, so there was a chance he would have lived regardless, but nice dodge there by him. Very, very, very much needed.
Yeah, exactly. If he had dropped down there, it would have really, really set him back. He's only got the treads, Magic 1, and 900. It's not bad by his standpoint, but Anti-Mage working his way towards that Battle Fury, and he has the Perseverance. He's going to only need a few more major items to finish that on out, so that's going to be a very, very big deal. But EGM does have smoke. Looking at mid, IX Mike is his target. Does he get the Fiend's Grip? He does. No, Carapace interrupts. They don't get the Fiend's Grip out, and they're stunned underneath the tower. IX Mike taking a ton of damage, though. It should be enough to finish him off, nevertheless.
Wow, that was such sick Spike Carapace timing. It stopped EGM's Fiend's Grip completely, just on time. And Ake, very, very interesting skill build. He's going stats with Enchant. He actually has no levels of Nature's Intendants. Very aggressive build here.
Yeah, a lot of right-click potential. Not so much as far as push goes, but it's still going to be able to provide them a lot as far as making sure they can screw over the Chen on his creeps, get powerful slows for ganking, and I think it'll add up to a lot very quickly. We do see Korak doing a little bit of counter push on this mid tier 1, but S4 with that double damage just tearing on through it, and it looks like that'll be the first tower to kill the game, but Hookshot comes in onto Ake right here, and they pin him inside the cogs. Korak can't really contribute, getting Bell Strike down by that DDTA, so darn scary, but Ake getting hit by the Test of Fate. The last right-click comes out. Now Bubba dueling it out with S4, but that's too much right-click. There's going to be the Test of Fate to get him on out. Vacuum keeps him alive. They get the stun, and yes, Clockwork will be able to survive. Sends out a going away present with that homing missile. Either way, there's big damage coming out onto Ike's Mike. He doesn't have Carapace available, and he will be dropped down. So dominating spree for S4 in the end.
So TA does snag the kill. 4 kills now on S4 despite getting that courier sniped. He's got 2 levels of meld strike, so he can do quite a bit of damage. And 48 last hits on him. He has made a really good situation out of the fact that he was versus a DS mid, so props to him.
Yeah, and that's 2 tower kills for them now, with Alchemist taking one on the bottom and them all contributing to the one in the mid. It really is putting more pressure on an anti-mage. If he is losing the map control from his towers, even when he finds his Battle Fury, he's going to have less room to freely farm around. The stacked up neutrals, whether in the Ancients or in the main dire jungle, is not as going to be comfortable of a position for him to just completely farm away. So the main thing he wants to do after he finishes that Battle Fury is just go at it for about 6 or 7 more minutes, just farm away on the creeps and try to move in towards that Manta very rapidly. But easier said than done when they're losing towers, and all Alliance has to do to supplement it is just drop down some good observer wards, but harder to do because of the fact that they are losing a lot of cash on their supports. EGM used his got his Arcane's boots, and from there he's going to have to get ganks happening if they're going to put out that kind of aggression.
And they do see the enemy heroes. The observer ward nicely placed by IX Mike is going to spot out the Fiend's Grip possibility. He's going to he's going to grab this any second. Boba looking for the hookshot counter initiation. He does grab him. Stun as well. Barretter's actually the one in trouble. Great Nightmare is going to buy him a second, but he still does get killed quite easily. And a great counter gank there. Rather than just backing off, Liquid said, okay, we're shifting over. We're going to turn this into a kill for us instead of you snagging the kill. So really nice play by them.
That's, really exactly what they need to do. And Liquid is just one of those great teams with great rotation skills that communicate very well, and they know when they want to take a fight for themselves. We do see double Wild Wings coming on out so that Fluff can put some pressure on this tower. Just a lot of damage over time, as well as some slowing mechanics from those guys there. And I think it should be another tier 1.
Yeah, you don't want to have to fight under these tornadoes if possible. The damage is fantastic, especially right under the tornado. They used to be really overpowered, but the vision range is much lower. And Boba actually just going to do some cog harass. The mana is drained slightly from TA, and they're going to try to take this tower. Glyph is popped, and this might be the time to go in. She goes in. Oh, great reflection. Going to buy him a second, and there's a Nightmare. They're going to be able to initiate off of this. Oh, nice play by Fluff, though, stealing it. Yep. And the Nightmare shifts over. Lotus shows up, though. He's got the Shadow Blade. He's going in. Will he be able to get within range? I think he will. There it is, throwing on Fluff. Fluff taking a big stun, and S4 trying to catch up. There's the Brain Sap, and Fluff will go down.
So finally finding a pick. A lot invested in it, but they were able to bring him on down. They do have a Blink Dagger up on the TA. The Shadow Blade obviously up on that Alchemist, so they were able to close on in and find themselves a kill, but it seems rather bloodless for a match between such aggressive teams here. 8-5. It is favoring Alliance with towers and heroes. So I think they definitely have the upper hand moving on, as long as they make sure they prioritize the locking down of the anti-mage, which they generally have been. The problem is vision. What they were doing last time around when they were trying to put pressure on anti-mage and gank him up, the counter gank came on through. Actually see Batrider getting picked off here, just a little bit overstaying his welcome, assuming that Loda can really accomplish anything, and other than throwing out a quick 1 second concoction, he's really not going to be finding anything. But we do see also Darkseer getting picked off down on bottom. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. He got Fiend's Gripped by the Bane, and Ake showed up at the right time and started doing Impetus. He almost teleported out. He ran into a little juke spot in that one path that goes through. He was very close to escaping, but EGM was able to get the Brain Sap off in time. Very close to escape. Almost escape.
Sure enough. So I really think it comes down to vision right now. The action that was on top lane, a lot of it had to do with the fact that Alliance didn't have really great observer wards, and Liquid did, so they knew what they were going up against. What do you think Alliance needs to do to actually kind of overcome that? We actually see damage on TC. He's stunned up, he's melted, and he's going to die. That was very unexpected. The Hand of God coming just a second too late.
Yeah, nice play by Loda there. Able to pick up the Shadow Blade and then turn that into kills with this maxed out unstable concoction. And that is one way that Alchemist becomes very useful, because now it's going to cause the enemy team to have to drop sentry wards and down to be able to prevent those kind of things from happening. And a hero that previously was extremely hard to kill on anti-mage is now gankable completely, and that was his Battle Fury flying out, by the way. So this is going to hurt his farm a lot by dying there.
Exactly, exactly. So he definitely won't be able to use that nearly as effectively. He does have it completed, so it's better than losing one of the components and not being able to complete it as rapidly. He does have effectively a 13.5-minute Battle Fury, but he's going to have to put it to work very, very quickly. Right now, the Ancients have not been stacked up whatsoever, and it doesn't look like any of the jungle has in that sense. So Alliance right now perfectly willing to kind of just go on the aggressive because they have a Blink Dagger, they have the Shadow Blade, they have gank-oriented items, where the Anti-Mage has farm-oriented items. So Liquid trying to keep their carry defended, but it's easier said than done with this kind of major stun potential coming out of Alk.
I'm sorry. And Nick Stassen is sliding in from the backside. He is invisible. He's got about 5 seconds left. Can they get him? Here comes the initiation. He does the spiked Carapace to try to reflect things. Looking for a stun, but everything whiffs from Liquid. A hook shot attempt as well, and they do spot the sentry. And Ike's Mike figured it out. He's like, they're moving way too weird for this. Obviously, something's happening. Loda actually walks back in. He hasn't started his attack yet, and while the sentry actually gets countered completely. So Liquid gets out. Another blink is going after Boba. He's going to put down the cogs, but he does get gripped. He's in a lot of trouble here. Loda's going to throw a stun any second, and that is a dead Boba, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. This was really, really good turn of events for Alliance. In this situation here, they had that sentry, and Alex Mike walked right underneath it. In his vendetta, he thought that he could actually get the surprise attack off, but coming on through, they saw instead the Shadow Blade used and the Blink Dagger from the TA. They both disengaged very nicely and wasted 100 gold. After that, they were kind of out of position. They were scrambling, and it was a little bit of a kind of Three Stooges activities there with the hook shot going in right after the Blink came on through, just barely missing him up, and got to be a little bit frustrating, but nevertheless, they're trying their best. It's just, I think that right now, Alliance are showing that they have that much more kill potential. They're using their cooldowns very effectively, and we haven't really seen this Blink Batrider come into play. We do see Alex Mike Iron Shelled up. S4 won't be able to get down out of this.
TC escaping from this one. He did see the creeps following them. He's going to get out. The chase comes. S4 is going to get killed, though. Test of Faith scores it. Loda's actually here, and this is really aggressive. He's got the stun ready to go. There's the wall. Can they get the vacuum ulti from TC trying to pick him off? He's so low, 100 HP. The hook shot's going to land this time, and Bulba going to make up for it. The cog goes in. EGM's going to get killed as well. Pretty much guaranteed. Ake is trying to do his best. Maybe not. He gets the brain sap off. Stun's going to land on him, but I think he may be escaping. TC's running back into the fight. S4 buying back, trying to kill Bulba, but another blink and S4 on the high ground. There's the Iron Shell damage. All his refraction is gone. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left. Korok's still chasing, and the rest of Alliance is trying to do some damage to TC. Korok gets nightmared. S4 is bottling up, and will they fight longer here? He will actually meld strike. He's taking damage, so S4 might go down. Will he? Yes, he does get killed. Slight mistake there, overly aggressive, and Korok running for his life as TC is trying to phase out the rest of Alliance. And that was a big win for Liquid. They get the TA, I believe, twice there. That was a buyback, if I'm not mistaken. It was. Yeah. 2 deaths out of S4, and the Alchemist went down. Big mistakes out of Alliance that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that broke down, 100%, I felt like Alliance was trying to cover ground that they really didn't have under their control, especially when they caught out the TA. She had an Invis rune, but that really didn't come up to very much at all. The Sentry Ward dropped down quickly, and they were able to just completely obliterate her twice over. Along with that, yeah, Loda jumped on into it, the Batrider jumped on in. They really thought that they could go for the team fight, but they're really all about pickoffs. They have the lasso to pull them out of position, the Fiend's Grip from long range. They can single out a single person and really screw them over, but when it comes down to that 5v5, especially since they were scrambling and not there in the first place, it really made it so that Alliance didn't stand a chance, and they really, really paid for it.
Alright, S4 is still pressuring the top a bit. Man, that buyback really hurt him. He got his Blink Dagger so early this game, and now he's way behind. Treads picked up as well, really good for dishing out the refraction damage a little bit more rapidly than just on a phase. Ike's Mike maybe wanted to initiate mid. There actually are no sentries here, other than the tower, of course, so, but he will back off. Looks like he lost his opportunity. Wasn't quite happy with the surroundings there.
Gem and True Sight picked up for EGM, though. He's going to put that out on the battlefield very, very quickly. The one thing is they have to make sure that it doesn't meet the same fate as Ake's gem last game, where he pretty much has it for about 30 seconds. Teamfight breaks out and immediately loses it. That could be devastating for them there, but if they have the right intentions in mind, if they can make sure that they're not getting vendetted up, and they can actually probably go for a pickoff on Nyx, since he only has rank 1 Carapace, they can actually really, really screw him over, and that's pretty much their main endeavor here. TC farming up on Ancients, does pick up 1,000 gold here, but I believe his Manta style is going to be pretty far behind compared to what we'd see most AMs acquiring.
17 minutes for this is, yeah, usually you would see maybe the starts of a Yasha at this point, but he did get killed that one time, and that was right when he was going to hit his Battle Fury at a reasonable time, so it cost him a decent amount. He does want to farm bodies, worried about ganks at the moment. Loda picking up a chainmail. I believe he also has a plate mail in the courier. Yes, he does. Going straight for AC, which is very smart, gives him a lot of HP, or estimated HP, that is.
Absolutely. Oh, everybody's ultimates are up, so it looks like they kind of want to go for something here. A little bit of triangle farming from the Batrider covering up all the camps, but smoked up, Vendetta up, Nyx Assassin. Breaks it for an Observer Ward, though. That was actually a huge mistake, using that Vendetta at that timing. He's still smoked, but honestly, just the timing of those cooldowns didn't need to be that way. Bulba looking for an opportunity, finds the hook onto Loda. They're going to be able to jump him in with the cogs. Captain Bamboo in the middle of things, not going to be focused down, though. Loda, Alchemist is going to be the one to drop here, and from here, I don't think Alliance has ground to stand on. If they tried to engage, they would probably just drop very, very swiftly.
Yeah, it was a great initiation there, and that really shows the squishiness that is Alchemist in the early game. He did end up picking up his plate mail halfway through that gank, but all the mana drain, I love the Nyx Assassin synergy with the Anti-Mage. It's so cool. Drain extra mana that way and get that ulti off even faster, and that just really helped them burst him down.
Absolutely no real hope for Alliance to counter-initiate on that. They're going to try here, but with their damage dealer down for another 10 seconds, I really don't think they can defend this tier 1, and their position here, it doesn't seem like there's any point to it. They're all hanging around, all 4 down bottom, and there's absolutely no chance of them actually jumping on in.
Well, Alchemist is going to be up now, so maybe he'll teleport back to lane and they can try to make something happen, but Korok still has vacuum walls, so if a team fight is fought, especially if we see a cog and then vacuum into the cogs, we can see some serious damage and utility coming out of Liquid's lineup. So Alliance is looking to fight it, but nothing really goes down just yet.
Not just yet. We do see TC continuing to farm it up. The Geometry side is going to give them a little bit more control over their jungle, deny a couple of wards that were just recently placed, but they are going to be taking their time, just kind of gradually expanding. It's kind of like creep spread. They're going to be able to move it on through and get some more Observer wards across the map, but for the moment, they really, really have a clustered amount of vision, all centered around their jungle, and they are going to have to be careful about how they proceed. Nighttime, of course, inhibiting that vision substantially. They don't really know too much at all. They could be up against a Roche. We see the TA trap dropping down to disregard that fact, but otherwise, there are a lot of possibilities from the enemy's position, and they like I said, they're a pick-off-oriented lineup, and if they themselves get picked, they really don't have too much to work with.
Yeah, the possible mech mistake coming out of Liquid. Korok sitting on a buckler here, and Fluff already has this complete. He may have just done this for the extra armor against the TA, which actually can help quite a bit, but regardless, he's sitting on. He's got 2,900 gold. We'll see what he makes next. Maybe a Shiva's Guard right off the bat. I'm not quite sure, but he's sitting on 3k and he hasn't spent it yet.
Yeah, saving up pretty hardcore, so I'm curious, but it is going to be coming out on the core here, and it is a 4-staff 100%. So we've seen Blink Dagger picked up by Darkseer occasionally just to make sure that his initiation is pretty much instantaneous, and the fact that Bulba is so darn good at hooks and is able to jump on in to the fray very, very swiftly, they kind of want that follow-up. They want to be able to vacuum people into cogs, or they want to drop the Wall of Replica down on as many people as possible. So it's a little weird, but I think it'll work, even though it's going to be 600 initiation range rather than 1,200.
And they do take the tier 1 tower top. In the meantime, Alliance is counter-pushing bot. This tier 2 looks quite dead. Ooh, Batrider's in position. This is going to be a TP. This is Nyx Assassin going in. Batrider's surely going to sink him the blink, and he gets him before the spiked Carapace, so he'll be pulling him a few feet. Got to throw the stun before it goes invis, and he does get out of there. Loda making a slight mistake there. They needed to throw that before invis or Carapace or anything, and it was slightly delayed.
Exactly. They do have some vision onto TA. They don't get the hook shot because she does blink on away, but yeah, that timing of the concoction couldn't have been more unfortunate. Ice Mike just spamming that Vendetta, was able to get it off, and there's really nothing they could have done about that. EGM wasn't there with the gem, and so they weren't actually able to make that kill happen. Either way, the tower is destroyed by the Radiant, so they are able to pick up, it said bottom tower, but not sure about that.
Yeah, I think it was the tier 2 bot that ended up getting killed, and Bobo was unable to deny it, so small mistake from him. It's actually a huge amount of gold if you can deny towers rather than let them die in any other way, so small mistake there. As Anti-Mage continues to farm, he's only 300 gold away from finishing his Manta Sign. He'll get that at one or two camps or more, and at that point the mana drain against the enemy heroes is going to be insane.
Absolutely. So right now the Assault Cross should be coming around at similar timing. Loda is only the recipe away himself, so Assault Cross versus Mantis, which do you think has more impact on if they go for a 5v5 engagement?
Between the AC on the Alchemist and the Mantis on the Anti-Mage?
Exactly.
There is a lot of physical damage coming from the Radiant team with the TA as well as the Alchemist, so adding an Assault Curse on top of that could be pretty serious, but with the Buckler plus the mech, I don't know if they have Vlad's anywhere on Liquid, but I really think that the Manta style is going to be a bigger deal, because a TC can use it at any point, really. They can jump on any of the int heroes that are sitting on Alliance and burst them down so rapidly with any kind of stun. So I think the Manta style is going to be way more important, because their ability to burst down one hero is going to be so much higher.
Absolutely. So yeah, that can be something that can really use to the enemy's disadvantage. I mean, you look at these mana pools, you see almost 1,000 on the Enchantress, you have 700 on the Bat Rider, 830 on the Bane. It's not the biggest in the world, but it's going to be sufficient that if that mana is burned in the first place, that's obviously health lost initially, and then the Mana Void following it up, should be pretty much a one-shot coming on through. So I can imagine with the Manta style up, and like you mentioned previously, the Nyx Assassin's mana burn, that it can turn into maybe a 3-second kill, and that's that kind of pick off that early on is going to make a huge difference. We do see kind of a base race a little bit, tier 2 dropping down in bottom and in mid lane, but it looks like it's going to be Liquid that does back off here. They're going to be looking to just make sure they don't lose ground on the tier 3 here. And that, yeah, kind of playing a little bit of chicken, and in the end, it's going to be Alliance that does a little bit of extra damage to that tier 3.
So a slight mistake here. Not everybody had a TP scroll. Bobo was left behind, but luckily for Liquid, Alliance did not press the fight. So nothing ends up happening there. Bobo's going to be able to pick up a TP scroll, and all is going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm. So as you were mentioning, Shiva's Guard is probable for Korok, especially since he has that plate mail now up. And honestly, since the physical damage is going to be mitigated so heavily by all these armor auras and all these other mechanics, do you think that it's going to be a lot of damage coming out from the Enchantress? Would you consider Ake a core hero right now?
I mean, Impetus is huge against Anti-Mage if they're bursting him down, but I think most of their damage source is going to come from all the minus armor plus the TA. And TA also went a Desolator, so they're heavily stacking minus armor. Anti-Mage's got to be very, very careful because of this. So if anybody gets caught out of position on either team, I think the burst damage at this point is fantastic. But I would say that Liquid's is a little easier to use. It's pretty hard to mess up Manta-style Anti-Mage with some Mana Drain and a Mana Void. That's a pretty fast, very rapidly dead hero. TA blinking in could get disabled, for example.
Sure. I mean, that could be a death warrant, honestly. Just jumping on in that position. She has no BKB. She does have Invis, but that can only go so far. So, honestly, if S4 jumps on into it and doesn't really have the lasso or the Fiend's Grip to back it up, that could be a very, very quick kill on even the agility hero here, especially since we've already mentioned how many sources of damage they have, whether you're talking the Iron Shell or just so many different Chen creeps auto-attacking. There's a lot coming on in. As far as GPM goes, the Antimage is currently very far out farming this Alchemist. 523 GPM compared to Loda's 493. In this position here, do you think an Alchemist should be out-farmed at any stage in the game? Is it just the Battle Fury is too strong?
I mean, he did die once in the lane to his suicide, and he did delay his Goblin's Greed, but that did pay off because he got a solo kill on the Anti-Mage later. So I think Anti-Mage is probably a higher farmer than Alchemist at this point, but obviously an uncontested Alchemist can outlane anybody or outfarm anybody.
Sure enough.
So I think it'll be okay. They still have S4 on top of this with hard carry, whereas there's no other hard carries on Liquid at all. So I think Alliance doesn't have to worry about being out carried too bad. It's really going to come down to team fights, I think.
Yeah, interesting split push move from S4 here, putting some damage into the creep waves that come on through, and with the Siege Scrape, the tier 3 is going to take a few hits unless they decide to teleport somebody back in to make sure of it. It looks like, yeah, that's going to be Darkseer to head on out and make sure that they're all safe, but nevertheless, I mean, that kind of pressure is giving more and more space for this Alchemist, and he could find some big item. I mentioned that Abyssal Blade is a key factor there, and I still think that that's going to be something that they have to worry about. We do see, actually, some blinks on in. They CTC with this Firefly, but they're not really going to be able to follow up on it. They're actually the ones on the run, as we do see a couple members of Liquid already moving on in.
Yeah, Ice Mike uses his ultimate again. It's going to go down. He's only level 8, so it's not as convenient as some of the higher levels. Some EXP would really, really benefit him at the moment, and all of a sudden Liquid just backs off. Look at this panic. I'm not sure if they're afraid about a smoke ink or not. There's no heroes on the map at the moment other than Loda top, so I think they're worried about the defense top or a possible push on the top lane.
Yeah, a lot of possibilities there. It looks like another Force Staff is coming out from the Chen. I know that Enchantress, if you jump on top of her, like you Force Staff in melee range of her, the impetus does very, very little. Is there anything else that you can think of that really makes that the Force Staff that much more powerful?
If somebody gets Fiend's Grip, for example, you can Force Staff them away. There's lots of things like that. A Force Staff is always going to be useful, basically. Think about anybody that's Psionic trapped in a team fight. I mean, it really is just one of the best support items that you can have. And if you're a really top-tier pro player like Fluff, for example, you can actually manage the extra micro. You can even do cute things like Force Staffing in a Centaur to stun.
Shoot, yeah.
There's lots of cool stuff that you can do with a Force Staff on Chen.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I mean, these individuals, Fluff and Stuff and Ake, both great players when it comes to that little micromanagement tactics, and I definitely think that that's something that's well within their reach to try to go for some potential initiation in that sense. I mean, it's a 2 seconds done, even if it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, no flashy animations. If you get it on like 2 people even, you've already contributed way more than, to the fight than the average Chen would. So that's definitely something to look into. Chen providing right now a bonus ceiling of 300 for his ultimate, 250 from the mechanism, and the big thing is just to be in the action, to be close enough in range the mechanism hits as many people as possible so that you can keep everybody active, because the damage is there. They're going to be able to follow it up with the Wall of Replica, with TC. He's going to have the Heart soon, but he has this Manta style already, so that damage does come out. We do see IX getting punished a little bit on this bottom lane situation, a little bit of overconfidence or something along those lines, because he was bursted immediately. We do see big damage from TC, bring down EGM immediately, and the Geometry site is lost. They're actually walking all over it, but they know it's there, and TC is going to hang on to it for the moment.
Yeah, it was a slight retreat mistake coming out of Alliance. It's a very smart, or it's the right thing to do usually, to escape with your allies rather than separate. Maybe if his allies were around, they could have shut down TC or tried to keep the Bane alive. But that's exactly what I talked about. Manta style versus any support int hero. He's going to get all of it drained. He's going to get ultied, and he's not likely to win. So that's a kill for TC, I believe. No, Clockwork actually stole that one. And they threw the gem to the other side, so that's going to be a big problem. And they can't actually fight for 10 seconds now.
Yeah. Extremely difficult, because they use the lasso to bring down the Nyx Assassin. They do have their 4-staff on bat, so it's a great way to control the enemy's positioning, but having already committed it, 35-second cooldown, the Bane also unavailable. They might try to contest it. Their Loda does come in, pops that BKB, going to dish out a lot of damage here. Concoction charging on up, will throw it out onto TC, but he's already out of the fight. There's a lot of damage coming out of the bat right. The Wall Replica was pretty solid here. S4 taking some hits from himself, and yeah, Hand of God burst down on S4. He might fall, but the haste ring keeps him alive. Back in the main fight, we do see that Loda is taking a lot of hits from TC, about to run out of mana, and shortly after could run out of life, but we do see the Concoction charging on up, and with TC enfeebled, he's very, very concerned. S4 is still on the run. Korok, haste versus haste. Not going to be able to close in on him, though. They're going to change the target up to Loda. They go for the hook shot, lock him in place, and they will finally get this kill. So Enchantress and Chen both fell first. The Alchemist to be the one that seals their fate, as now the Roshan is fully in the hands of Liquid.
It was honestly not that bad of a fight out of Alliance there. The BKB from Loda was perfectly timed there. He was able to jump into the fight without getting stunned from IX Mike. I thought that was going to go bad for him, but great reaction time there. And just a whole lot of running around. They only lost 2 heroes, one of which was the carry and the other Enchant, so they did lose out there, but I thought that was going to go way worse for them, considering how the rest of the game has been going.
Yeah, definitely considering this situation. I mean, I don't think the Wall of Replica was that big of an impact. I mean, he did get a couple illusions here and there, but it wasn't really the one way or another. I mean, I think you get the Desolator from those illusions, so that would be really, really helpful. But other than that, like, they didn't really have too much coming out from the wall. It was actually the follow-through from all the other supports. Some really, really good movement from Boba, specifically landing out hooks. And yeah, they just had kind of just rooted their feet in and were willing to just take it 5 versus 5. And of course, Alliance scrambling to get on in and initiate. They did drop very, very quickly. So I think that back and forth, it could have been a lot worse for Alliance, but nevertheless, Liquid does take a pretty big win with that Aegis Immortal now on the Anti-Mage.
Yeah, and his farm rate is just going to increase here. He can continue to farm at the same equal rates, whereas Loda opted for a BKB, a necessary teamfight item. He doesn't have something like a Radiance or Maelstrom to really increase his farm rate in the jungle. So, and he is getting behind in levels as well, still not level 16. He can't be as mobile on the map and take as many risks because he can't blink every 5 seconds. So from here on out, it's just going to be a really rough game for him. I'd also like to point out Anti-Mage only has 1 level of Spell Shield this game. There's virtually no magic damage coming out of Alliance. The only hero that really has notable magic damage is Bane. I mean, there's some Barrier damage, but it's nothing that you really need to build a Hood for example. So I kind of like this choice out of TC.
Yeah, literally only the Fiend's Grip really dishing out magic damage. The composite aspect of Alchemist and the physical components there, the pure damage from Enchantress. It looks like they do a lot of magical spell effects, but really, Firefly and Fiend's Grip are the only things that dish out that kind of damage. I guess.
Well, Flame Break. Come on. Watch out for that 300.
You know, because it's like rank 2 right now, because Batray's only level 12. So Ixu's got really nothing going on. But, you know, I mean, it's respectable, but it's wise for TC to note that in what he's up against of just being like, screw it, I don't even care about it. So it begs the question, why exactly pick up the Anti-Mage if you're not afraid of the spell damage? Just really for that kind of super burst when the illusions come out to play?
This hero is really hard to kill, and I think that's the main reason. His ability to split push, as well as outfarm your opponents, and just generally be really good in team fights is the main reason why he was really popular for quite a long time. So I still think it's a great pick. And hey man, you get an extra 3 levels to stats. It's like a free bracer.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, you know, adding up, big money on the stats. But wailing away on this tower. They're actually going to be able to bring it down pretty swiftly. Not wanting to commit his Manta style for the Enfeeble. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't think Manta dispels it anymore since they made the change to BKB. But nevertheless, he's still doing enough damage to actually make an impact. And the heart keeps on, relatively speaking, regenerating. They do go for the concoction, though. But Loda's actually sitting pretty low. Currently sitting at 2/3 HP, not that much mana. They don't really want to go all in on this. They pop off the fortification because, of course, they don't want to lose their tier 3 either, but they're in a pretty bad spot, and they have to initiate very, very well here. But they pick up Korok. He's so darn beefy, he might get out. The Force Tap, the Hand of God, the Mechanism, he's still alive. He'll get his spells off. Big Force Taps coming across. We do see Fiend's Grip on TC. He will lose his first life. But is Fluff, or is the entire team just going to fall back from here? Liquid loses the Nyx as well. And they just go for the Test of Faith on Bulba. So TC and Fluff running on the way.
The splash.
But big damage coming out. It should be enough to finish off Fluff. So yeah, he does drop as well. And yeah, they took the tier 3, but they lost a lot for their trouble.
Yeah, that was Korok's mistake there. He got way too close to the front. Batrider sensed it, jumped in and snagged him. Fluff made some insane plays, keeping him alive. I thought he was going to die 2 times in that fight. Survived both of them. It was crazy. Fluff popped his heals at just the right time. All the Force Staffs as well. Kept Darkseer alive. He wasn't able to get the vacuum wall off, but yeah, if they would have been more patient there, let Anti-Mage go up the front. If Anti-Mage dies, doesn't matter because he has the Aegis, and they lost the Aegis anyways because he had to go aggressive because his allies went in. So just a really bad team fight from Liquid there, all because of a slight mistake out of Korok going too far forward. And a nice play from Batrider to react upon it.
Yeah. I can't really blame him, though. I mean, Korok is just so beefy in general as far as a hero. Darkseer has plenty of strength to work with, so much armor. 29 armor mitigates at 63%. I mean, he has a lot of effective health, especially against all this physical damage, but it did cost them so much. They used all their Force Staves, they Hand of God, the Mechanism, everything was blown very, very early on to keep Korok up, and it just kind of shows how high potential that Batrider is. I mean, if you're singling somebody out that much, it doesn't matter how big they are, you're going to be able to focus them very, very effectively, especially with Ake's respectable right-click damage, Impetus being ranked 2. I think that he's actually delivering a lot more damage than most people would expect. Now there's a Ghost Scepter, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can actually manually cast Impetus while you're Ghost Sceptered up.
Yeah, I believe so. You can do that with most attack orbs. So Missile going to go scout things out. Ix Mike did spot the enemy heroes, but he was invis at the time and wasn't quite ready to 1v3. So they are not quite going to engage. Alliance will also back off, going back to farming. Alchemist, hopefully for him, will be able to get his GPM back up. But you know what Anti-Mage has been doing this whole time, and it's farming. He's picked up a Skull Basher. He's most likely going to go Abyssal Blade after this, I think, to counteract the Enfeeble. It was a little bit of a problem before. And getting the hard disable would also be very useful against a lot of the heroes on Alliance.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's interesting to say that we can see an Anti-Mage actually picking up an Abyssal Blade before the Alchemist. Generally speaking, he's going to be the one that's always ahead early on, but we've talked about it multiple times over, that rank 4 Blink with a Battle Fury, you can just take over the entire map, farming the creep waves, farming the jungle. It does take away a little bit from how much gold your supports are getting, but instead, you're the one that's going to be able to pick up just so darn much. So, yeah, we could easily see him going for the Abyssal Blade very, very shortly. I don't think that he should buy out for it. Like, his buyback is, he's about to pick it up in just a couple hundred gold, but I really think that he should wait a little bit before he picks up that second relic. We see a little bit of base race. They should probably just pick up the tier 2 and then TP on back, and it looks like that may be just what happens. They are going to start off with Bulba, TPing on away, maybe go for a Cogs, try to push everybody back here, but they do have to get everybody back on in. TPs come on through, and it looks like with this fortification that Alliance is going to fall back themselves.
That was an accidental fortification, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste. I got nothing out of that. So, slight mistake from Liquid, but they were able to defend the tier 3. Very important. With the Deso and the AC, they have to react to those pushes so fast. If they're late at all, it just goes away. The minus 11 armor is not something you can mess around with. It just takes towers so fast.
Exactly, exactly. So that stacks up very, very swiftly there. And we actually see Alchemist picking up 4,200 gold. What do you think he should go for?
He could get some AoE to try to deal with the Anti-Mage illusions. He could maybe get a MKB to prepare for Anti-Mage's inevitable monkey or butterfly, which I don't know if he's seen. I assume he's seen the Basher, so he knows butterfly isn't on the way. But at some point, Anti-Mage will grab a butterfly, at which point Alchemist would be pretty worthless. So I think he either has to go AoE or MKB, and I don't think the AoE is that great of a choice. I think he honestly has to go Monkey King Bar to worry about this Anti-Mage in the future. But even if he does that, then there's a lot of illusions to deal with. I really don't know. I think MKB might have to be it, though. Or a Basher.
Yeah.
Those are his choices, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to prioritize a basher when, like you said, the evasion's going to come out, and 35% is just so darn strong with that butterfly. But yeah, he has to make a choice pretty shortly here. The Mjolnir would add in a lot of potential to burn down those illusions and kind of synergize well with his low base attack time, very, very rapid strikes. But yeah, they're going to have to go for something directly to contest the Roshan fight, because that's going to be coming up in just about 2.5 minutes, and that's going to be really when they need the carry items once again. He picks up that Demon Edge, though, so it looks like it should be that MKB.
Yeah, he's preparing for it. He does have some timing until he needs it, but if he got caught with against a Talisman Evasion and they had no good way to deal with this, keep in mind TA is also grabbing a Crystallis, so they have no MKBs on the way. So if he did hypothetically have a Butterfly right now, I think Anti-Mage would be insanely hard for them to kill, so and that could be a huge problem. So they're just going to cover their bases here. They will have the True Strike. They won't have to worry about the Evasion, and maybe in TC's defense, maybe he should just skip Butterfly at this point.
Yeah, it could be a big factor. If he sees Loda picking up that Demon Edge and assumes it's not going to be a Daedalus, he's probably just going to opt for not worrying about that evasion, because the agility isn't that strong, the attack speed. All those factors are dwarfed in comparison to how much that evasion provides. So in that sense, I definitely think that he should just avoid it entirely, and he can pick up a number of really good items. But speaking of really good items, Sacred Relic already on the way here, but he's very far out from buyback. Obviously, this could be something that he, in the very near future, could regret if they are able to bring them down with a pretty relatively good placed Fiend's Grip or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. Anti-Mage is going to continue jungling. He needs, 1,300 gold for buyback, so add a couple hundred on top of that because of kill streaks and extra gold that you're going to lose, and he will have enough, but is it going to be enough before Roshan? Yeah, he's got about a minute, about 1 minute left before the team fight or before Roshan is up, so if he can farm up that buyback gold right now, it would be really, really helpful for him, and he's going to TP to the bot lane.
So that is obviously his main intentions there. Korok making his way that direction as well, moving in towards the Scythe of Vice long term. But actually, yeah, buybacks are rather sparse for the Liquid in general. Like, obviously, they want to move in for this Roche almost as soon as it spawns. They even have the Vendetta coming out for Mike. But in this position here, they have very few buybacks. They still have the tier 3s to TP2, or just the fact that they have Surge and Hookshot to get in, but we don't see that coming out for almost any of their heroes. We don't see any buybacks other than that of Clockworks. We do see Lasso coming out and picking off TC right here. This could be very bad. They actually get Test of Faith. Beautiful Test of Faith. Fiend's Grip connects, but nevertheless, Lasso, Fiend's Grip, screw it. We'll just have Chen heal him out and Fluff and stuff. Pretty much the savior of the team right here.
Such sick reaction time from Fluff. That was definitely a dead Anti-Mage with the Fiend's Grip, and the Lotus Stun would have been right after it. They could try to push right now since there is cooldown on Fiend's Grip, but man, that was such smart play from Fluff there.
Oh my gosh, that kind of reaction. It literally was do or die right there. If he didn't get it off, then that Anti-Mage would have been completely dead, no buyback whatsoever. That's a long time for him to lose out on farming, and the potential for them to take the Roche 100%. So that would have been pretty much, I'm not saying the game, but the next 10 minutes, everything leading up to this, if that Test of Faith hadn't come out, it would have been a completely different story. But it looks like TC is going to get this Aegis.
Yep, Mike's sitting on the high ground waiting for the initiation, but Batrider has no ulti for 15 seconds. Bane has no ulti for 45 seconds, and he's a pretty crap support here without Fiend's Grip, so especially at this point in the game. So Aegis will be killed, Anti-Mage picks it up, 2,200 in the bank, and they've got the buyback now, all because of that insane save from Fluff. That was such a sick play.
Yeah, 100% just turned things. I'm not saying that they were behind or anything, but in that situation, in that 10-second frame where he was ganked up, it 100% turned things around, where it would have been completely terrible. Nice attempt for the hook shot, but Bane gets a TP out anyways. Blink Dagger coming off cooldown, so it looks like TA will be able to get out perfectly fine as well. Good attempt for the Impale, but just not going to connect. They really, really want that TA. Oh
that was two almost stuns on TP. They got so close both times, but neither one. I don't know if they realized if they could see the... to get the vision from the hook shot and the stun, but man, they have no idea how close they were to getting 2 kills there.
Exactly. Alrighty then, so right now we do see MKB up the Alchemist. They had a DD rune somewhere, but I'm guessing that has not been bottled, so that's not going to be a factor in the next engagement. Actually, Batrider picking up his BKB shortly, so that'll be a big deal. Jumping on in, the Batrider won't be nearly as effective from the lockdown from the Nyx Assassin. Still has to worry about that Clockwork, but can at least fly on over the cogs. So in this position here, they got a really, really good pick on Anti-Mage, pulled him all the way over the freaking river from the Ancients all the way down into pretty much no man's land, and we're able to get a pick off there. If they don't get that kind of a pick off, do you see the team fight for Alliance working whatsoever?
They definitely need some kind of a game advantage like that, or a team fight advantage, because like we said, Anti-Mage has Manta style, he's got Heart, he's got Aegis, and he has buyback, so they definitely do need to get a pick off. This is why they're avoiding team fights. They're not necessarily looking for them. They had a great attempt on the anti-mage, obviously, but things are going to be really tough otherwise.
Very, very true. Alchemist still farming away. Loda being able to pick up a lot of kills with that acid spray alone and some good right clicks, but the smoke did come on through. They're going to be able to gain some map control. Observers are up on that plateau, and this gives TC control of not only his own jungle, but actually that of the opposition. So, we were talking about, I was kind of just overtly saying that he has control of the entire map. Well, that's pretty much true now. There's one ward up for Alliance that's in up towards that top rune, but other than that, TC is pretty much free to roam around wherever he wants, and he has the full team to back him up. This is a watch anti-mage farm finally going now for push as they bring in the tornado in towards these vulnerable rats.
And he is going high ground. The Enfeeble lands, but he still hits for 200. Pretty good. One trap is killed. Rocket scouting things out as well, and he might try to fight this as the acid spray ends, though its duration is pretty much always up. Another creep wave is coming forward, and will they hop forward and go aggressive? I assume that they will here. Yeah. Bulba's looking for initiation. If he can land on EGM, that would be huge. There's no force staff on EGM. Do any of these other supports have one? Just the Batrider, but he wants to save that first initiation. He's looking for it. He's thinking about his hookshot possibilities, and TC blinks back out. They're going to wait till the next wave.
Yeah, but the good thing here is they don't have to worry about like an Illuminate. They don't have to worry about that continuous counter push presence. Every single time they're taking chunks of the racks, even the tiniest little bit. They're pushing out, and they have a little bit of potential every time. The heart bringing them right back up to snuff, and the big deal here is not to get enfeebled unless they're going to initiate. And in this stage, honestly, if they can get the hook, like you said, on EGM before that enfeeble comes out, they're going to be able to just completely demolish this engagement. But it does come on through, and so it is going to be a little bit of a limitation because that is, of course, 120 damage reduction.
Yeah, they're playing this so safe right now. TC does not want to get Fiend's gripped. Well, he doesn't care that much because he's got an Aegis anyways, but he's just sitting on the edge of vision here. Going to put some hits on S4. I guess Manta's actually used a little early. I don't completely agree with that decision there, but he does have the illusion up now, and Chance steals one of it. More damage on TC. Batrider, I'm sure, is thinking about going in, but we've got Bulba in position. He's actually shifted the opposite side. He's going to try to go, and he gets it. He's in on EGM. Cog's in as well. TC's now right-clicking. Here comes the Sun. Abyssal Blade used on S4, but S4's still got half HP. The heals come through. One ulti as well. Ix Mike running for his life. Anti-Mage first death going down. S4 finally dying. There's the wall, but Quark not able to vacuum on top of it, and Anti-Mage will back out. Buyback from TC, or I'm sorry, from S4, and it looks like Liquid wants to retreat. They were not happy with that fight. It took forever to kill S4 in that fight.
Yeah, they committed so much to him in that position there. That was just really, really surprising how well he survived. I mean, it almost seemed like he just had all the heals, but the mechanism kept him up for a little bit. He had the refraction, and I don't think they had the Dark Seer or the Iron Shell in general to lock him down. So, yeah, it took them a while. They did get great stuns out, but they still have so many different targets they have to worry about. Good maneuver on towards the Bane. They did force out a lot of pressure that way. They couldn't get the Fiend's grip off because of the battery assault, so on and so forth, but nevertheless, Liquid didn't really take much out of that fight. They worked so hard to get the high ground, and still the racks stay perfectly intact.
Yeah, it is really important that you Iron Shell your melee carry if you're up against a TA, because every single hit from Anti-Mage is doing 200 to 300 physical damage, whereas the Iron Shell would burn that down immediately. So we're talking like 600, 800 damage once you added up that Anti-Mage would have done to the TA if the Iron Shell was on him. I don't know if he manted it off or something, or maybe Korok was busy not dying or something like that, but it is so important. If you're going to focus on the TA and you have a Darkseer, you need to have that wall up on your melee carry.
Yeah. And like you said, that Manta was so questionable. Popping that off at that exact time didn't seem reasonable at all, and then immediately stealing one of the illusions. The Enchantress had just that much more to work with. So I gotta say, that was just, I'm not gonna say it screwed them over, but it definitely limited a lot of potential, because, Manta Cell, it works with Anti-Mage so darn well. It's pretty much his item, as far as just the fact that his mana break is such a great ability to scale with attack speed, scale with illusions. He pretty much definitely needs that extra damage if he's going to be able to win a team fight, and in that situation they were only able to break even.
Yep, they're going in on Loda. Will they be able to catch him? There's a Hex from Korok going to start things off. Bulba goes in as well, looking for a support pickup. Can he stop the Batrider from initiating? He does with the Cogs, and the vacuum goes right on in on Loda. He's got BKB up, but he's getting bashed all the way down. He's trying to fight out of there, but the illusions are still hitting him, and we see a Fiend's Grip on TC as well. Great hook shot. Good hit on 2. EGM at full HP, but running for his life now. Buyback from the Alchemist as well. Enchant is going to go down. She also buybacks everywhere. Force staff on Bulba, and another Cog on EGM. Insanely good plays so far. He's going to use the life drain. Bulba's getting low, but I think with the vacuum, great vacuum on the other side of the Cogs. We see another stun from Loda. Fluff in trouble. Now look at the damage. Oh my gosh. Fluff running for his life, but it doesn't matter. and they actually trade semi-evenly, except for the fact that we saw insane amounts of buybacks out of Alliance here.
Exactly that. And really, really good maneuvers. Actually, Bulba in a bit of a rough spot, but it looks like they're not going to be able to close on in to get any disables. I mean, Enchantress nowhere near a Scythe, so I guess I'm concerned for no reason. But yeah, the way that worked out, TC going on in, gets the sheep onto Loda here. They're actually going to be able to burst him pretty hard, but they haven't gone in full yet. There is going to be a meld, there is going to be Shadow Blade, but Loda pops off the concoction, living with 500 HP, mech'd up. The Mana Boy comes out, but it's not enough. The last right click does it though. Ake trying to heal, but this Black Blink Dagger should be able to allow him to connect. No, the Ghost Scepter keeps her alive that much longer. Now TC slowed down with that Napalm, force staff forward, not going to be able to follow on through. Trying to finish it off here, gets a little bit of path block, but not enough with Ake force-staffing away to safety here, and they just push him right back on out. TC moving on in. He says, screw it, maybe I can just go for the racks, but the backdoor protection's still up. He's wasting his time, and now we do see Impetus after Impetus flying on out. Big Abyssal coming out on EGM. They will immediately shred him from 100 to 0. Going back on in, still backdoor protection, so they have to not focus the racks. Focus on the heroes, but in this position here, they don't have much to stand on, and there is going to be that last hook shot. Big damage coming on through. Good cogs from Boba onto Ake, but it's going to be the big action on middle with a vacuum and wall breath. We got TC shreds everything. Triple kill coming out for him. The racks, oh my gosh, just focusing everything on them, but still they stand. Ake, last target, gonna close on in with IX Mike to finish it. Now the stun misses, but TC should be able to body block with this next blink. Goes for the right clicks, but Abyssal Bash, proc. Gets the proc, gets the ultra kill, and cleans it up. 5 for 0, no buybacks, and from there they can easily take at least one set of racks.
Yeah, man, Alliance's team fight is just falling apart. They're going straight. Oh, man, they want to win the game right now. They're not even taking the racks. Some of Liquid is targeting racks, some is targeting the tier 4 towers. TC takes one. They're going for the second one. Can they end the game right here? All the buybacks, what are the status of it? It's a lot of no's for the raiding team. All of them are on buyback cooldown or don't have enough money, and they're going for it. Will they take it 2-0 right at the end here? Bulba's going to cog it. He's going to fight. He's taking so much damage, and the Fiend's Grip as well. One heal from Chen. Can he keep him alive? The 4-step almost pushes him into Fountain, but not quite close enough. And Luda's trying to finish things off, but it looks like the throne is going to go down, and Liquid's going to take it 2-0.
Wow, that was a very, very interesting game. I really didn't think it would come down so much to the carries, but oh my gosh, they were back and forth with the bashes and the Manta style usage. NTH just really showing why he has so much control of that late game status, and obviously having 674 GPM didn't hurt at all.
I love the AC pickup as well. He spotted the MKB and he said, Butterfly is not worth it. I might as well stack up 15 armor and get some minus armor on my opponents as well. And there were just a few too many team fight mistakes from Alliance towards the end there. Like they tried to fight mid with the TA and the Alchemist trying to pick off the Anti-Mage and the Darkseer. And then that chase just lasted for so long that eventually Ake ran so long to get home, but he just couldn't quite make it. And the Bane as well ended up TPing in and getting killed. So good attempts from Alliance to win that game, and they definitely had some parts where they had some great advantage, but it seemed like Liquid was just outplaying them in team fights, just barely. Yeah,
definitely. And I really like the items build up that they really were able to make work. I mean, I don't know about that Buckler, as we mentioned before, but the Mechanism, the Vladimirs provided a lot of early game armor, negating some of the weaknesses coming out of the enemy's Assault Cross and Desolator. And along with that, the Shiva's Guard came out for Darkseer. Anti-Mage picked up the AC, as you mentioned. They don't get the +5 aura just because it doesn't stack with the Vlads, but he still gets a lot of personal armor, a lot of great personal utility there. So really delivering the hurt and cleaning it up. So 9-1 and 7 TC is the one that ends it out with the carrying effect there, and I think most of it came down to the fact they had so much control of Roshan. Every single time they got the Aegis on Anti-Mage, they couldn't do too much for him. They could throw his life away, get some damage onto buildings, whatever they wanted to do, and that last Rosh was as a result of the biggest play by Fluff and Stuff with that Test of Faith. So I gotta say 100% he has to be the MVP for this game, just based on that 100% tables turning Test of Faith.
Yeah, it was huge save.
Alrighty then, so that's going to be it because Team Liquid takes the second game here. That's a 2-0 victory in favor of Team Liquid in this best-of-3 series. So really cool. What we do next on TPL is I'm going to be going on into a segment called Ask the Pros. It's a post-match interview with one of the guys from Liquid, and you guys in the chat will be able to ask some questions for them indirectly, and we'll be able to get some answers out of them, what they thought about this match, and other things outside of that in the world of Dota. Nevertheless, it's been a pleasure casting with you, Purge, and very enjoyable to be able to cast up this best-of-3 with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning on in. We'll be having Ask the Pros up on twitch.tv/the Premier League in just a little bit. So those on Dota TV can head on over. We'll have one of the members. We often have Bulba, but we'll see exactly who we pick up here. Either way, Liquid really secured. Obviously, they were already secured a playoff position, but now I believe they've guaranteed a #1 seed in the subsequent tournament coming up. The playoffs, I believe they're on the 26th, starting up there. Either way, going on in for that Premier League prize pool. This can be really interesting to see what they have to bring to the table in those matches there. So that was awesome. And again, thank you so much, Purge, for coming on to cast this up with me. And that's going to be it for us.